In this video, we will introduce and explore some documents common to the pay application process in construction. One of the most important activities in any business is the process of invoicing and getting paid. After all, most people are in business to make money, and getting paid is the most important part of the business. There are any number of forms and formats that can be used to produce pay applications in the construction business. However, one of the most common formats, if not the most common format, utilizes forms G702 and G703 produced by the American Institute of Architects, commonly known as the AIA. We will focus on introducing and becoming more familiar with those two documents. On the screen you will notice the G702 document as well as the G703 document, which is the companion and support document for G702. So let's explore G703 to better understand how that form works. Notice there are several columns in G703. The columns include an item number, a description of the work for each item, the scheduled value. Columns D and E are for work completed. It includes from previous applications and from application this period. Column F is for materials presently stored. Column G is the sum of D, E, and F. That equals G. G also includes a percent complete column. H is the balance to finish, and I is the retainage on each item. Other items to take note of on G703 is the title block section, where it has the application number, the date of this application, what period the application is through, and the architect's project number if it applies. Also right here is a place to note what page number this is out of a total number of pages. It's also important to note that the grand total completed and stored to date will tie directly to G702 for total completed and stored to date. And the total retainage will tie directly to the retainage line on G702. G703 also includes a space to outline the schedule of values for the work alongside the description. Now, the schedule of values is simply a breakdown of the contract value into component parts, and these component parts allow the party approving the pay application to better be able to judge the amount of work that's actually been completed. Now that we've taken a look at G703, let's take a closer look at G702, the companion document. Once G703 has been completed, then G702 can be completed. You will notice at the top of G702 there's a title block section that includes a place to put what page number this is of the total number of pages of the document. There's a space in the block to put the owner's name and address, to put the contractor's name and address, to include what the contract is for, and usually it's just entered as general construction for general contractors, a place to enter the project name and location, a place to enter the architect's name and address, a place to enter the application number, the period that this application covers, what the project number is, what the contract date is, and to which party this document will be distributed. So if we take kind of an overall view of this document, you will notice the title block that we just reviewed. You will notice that there's a section for the contractor's application for payment to be detailed. And then there's a certification section to the document. Let's further explore G702 by looking at the contractor's application for payment section. You will notice at the bottom of that section there's an area for a change order summary. It's an area where you detail the total changes approved in previous months by the owner, whether they're adds or deducts, the total additions and deductions approved this month. That would give us a total add and a total deduct, and those two added together would give us the net change by change orders to date. and that value will relate directly to line 2 above. Line 1 in this section is where the original contract sum is noted. Net change by change orders is entered in line 2, and the sum of lines 1 and 2 equals line 3, which is the contract sum to date. Line 4 represents the total completed and stored to date, and you will notice that it's from column G on G703, which is why it's important to complete form G703 prior to G702. Line 5 is for retainage, and it's broken into two sections, A and B. 5A is the retainage on the completed work. 5B is the retainage on the stored material. Both of those added together will give us total retainage, which should equal column I on G703. Line 6 is the total earned to date less retainage, and it's obtained by subtracting line 5 retainage from line 4 total completed and stored to date. Again, line 6 is total earned less retainage, and that's to date. Line 7 is previous certificates for payment. So you take the previous certificates of payment away from the total earned to date less retainage, and that leaves you with line 8, which is the current payment due. Line 9 is the balance to finish including retainage, and it is the sum of line 3, contract to date, minus line 6, which is total earned less retainage. That will leave us with the balance to complete the contract. On the lower right hand section of G702 is the certification section of this document. The upper part of that section is where the contractor certifies that to the best of his knowledge that he's fairly applied for payment, and it represents fairly the work that has been completed to date. He also certifies that any monies that he's been paid prior to this application, he has applied first to pay debts against this project. He then signs it and dates it and then has it notarized. Below the contractor certification is where the architect certifies payment, and he's basically just certifying that to the best of his knowledge this represents a fair application for the work that's been performed to date. He certifies the amount to be paid, signs it and dates it, and then submits it to the owner for payment to the contractor. It is extremely important to submit pay applications on time, and it is equally important to understand the different components of the pay application process. Completing the documents accurately and in their entirety is critical to ensuring that the payment process will not be delayed, thereby interrupting the contractor's cash flow.